What's up everybody, Steve here. Today I'm going to talk about special assessments, what they are, what to look out for, and a personal situation that we're going through right now. And I'm going to actually show you the project and what's going on. But essentially, we are getting hit with a special assessment in the amount of $25,000. It could be maybe $20,000. And essentially, it is an assessment for a large concrete restoration project. But essentially, a special assessment happens when an association, now this can be a condo association, it could be a master association with single family homes. It just depends on the scope of work. Usually this will happen when it's more of a multi-family situation, so more condos, coach homes, townhomes, where you have basically properties that are adjoining together. And what happens is many times when they're collecting the association fees, they're not accounting enough for reserves. Now, reserves is basically a bank account that they have set up. So every time you pay your association fees, whether they're monthly or quarterly, a percentage of that usually goes into a reserve account. Now, these reserve accounts are made specifically to take care of future costs that are gonna happen. So you know that a roof is not gonna last forever. You know that a pool is not gonna last forever. You know that a parking lot is not gonna last forever. You know exterior paint is not gonna last forever. So there's a lot of things that is gonna happen in the future, and that's the whole point of having money go into a reserve account. Now, what happens is a lot of times these associations, they don't account for unexpected things like what we're gonna show you today. So this specific project, they were not anticipating, and they had nowhere near the amount of money in reserves to cover this major concrete restoration project. Now, I've owned several units in these buildings over the years, and I can tell you, when you look at them from face value from the outside, they look to be in really good shape. You can't really tell of any cracking of the stucco from the outside or anything like that. Now, several months back, the painting crew that was set up to paint the entire complex, to paint all 5 buildings, was set up, and as they started their work and started chipping away certain paint, they uncovered certain issues with the lanais. Now, mind you, this property is across the street from the beach, across the street from the Gulf of Mexico, so there is a lot of salt in the air, and there's a lot more things that are going to go wrong as opposed to living inland. And every areas have their own issues with weather, and being this close to the Gulf of Mexico, it definitely took its toll on this property. Now, what really happened was, on these lanais, the porches, they're very exposed, and they're exposed to the elements year round. And what happened was, a lot of people put tile on their lanais, and the tile on the lanais, over time, water was getting through the grout lines, getting underneath the tile, and the water was just sitting there. It was not naturally evaporating. And what was happening is the water was sitting there and causing spalling of the concrete. So the concrete was just eroding, and the rebar, the steel rebar, was basically expanding and contrasting, causing it to spall, and it basically made a lot of these porches very inferior, and I wouldn't say in this situation potentially dangerous, but if we let this thing go for another 10 years or something like that, it could have been very dangerous. So this project is more than anybody anticipated in terms of the scope of work. And it turns out, building 1, there's 5 buildings, which I'm going to show you here shortly. Building 1 is going to be well over $1 million for the project. And essentially, the money that's in the reserve account is not going to come cost to do the mediation and the concrete restoration for this property. So every unit owner in here is going to have to cough up that money and pay that out of pocket. Now, this obviously can cause financial hardship for a lot of people, especially if you don't have $20,000 just laying around. And I anticipate some people are going to start listing their properties for sale in this complex. Actually, the property that we have here, I'll bring you through it and show you the tile and the lanai as well. They haven't started the work on it, but we did list the property, and we actually have it in contract right now with a buyer who's fully aware of the special assessments. We did negotiate that we are paying for those special assessments at closing, essentially. So the buyer is not going to have them, but we're looking at just getting a decent price for the property and cashing out and moving on. So let me bring you up to this unit real quick, and I'll show you what it looks like. So this place is called Bonita Beach and Tennis, and it's located, like I mentioned, across the street from the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of Mexico is literally right there. Alright, so this is the unit that we have. Like I mentioned, we did put it on the market, and we do have it in contract for sale. These are just little studio units, and mind you, again, it was over $20,000 for the assessments. There was an initial assessment of $10,000 or $9,000 some change, and then the other one they anticipated another $10,000, maybe $12,000. Not 100% sure yet, but they have not done work to this patio yet. And this is where the issue lies, is the tile on the patio here. And you can tell even this unit has had issues. You can hear how it gets all hollow underneath. Now, when you're buying into an association, especially before you guys start making offers, or maybe while you're in contract and you have a due diligence period, hopefully within your contract, you want to make sure a handful of things. For one thing, you want to talk to, never rely on necessarily other people like real estate agents. I'm a real estate broker, I'm a realtor, but you always want to verify despite what information is being told or what's in the MLS. So you want to verify information pertaining to the association. So what I always like to do is I actually like to go and talk to the association manager and find out all the specifics associated with the complex. I want to find out how much money they have in reserves. I want to find out any anticipated special assessments that they're aware of that might not even be on the books yet. I want to find out if they know of any upcoming projects, like let's say they have to replace the pool, and I want to find out if they have adequate funds to account for replacing the pool as well. So I think it's important that you speak to the association manager directly. If there's not an outsourced association management, then usually it's the elected board, and you want to contact the president or somebody on the board as well and speak to them directly. You also want to get, obviously, rules and regulations, but more importantly, you want to actually get the budget and the approved budget for that year and take a look at that, and maybe even have your accountant take a look at it on your behalf. Maybe pay your accountant $100, $200 to go ahead and review the financials, maybe even the previous budget or future budgets associated with it. Because the last thing you want to do is buy into a complex where all of a sudden, a month, 2 months, 5 months down the road, you're going to get nailed with a special assessment that you had no idea, you have no way to pay it. And also what happens is, a lot of times, this community, you have to come up with that money. So you have to either sell your property if you don't have the funds, you have to take out a loan of some sort. You got to figure it out on your own. Other communities, they will actually break it up over a 6-month or 12-month period. Some I've seen as long as 2 years, where you still have your monthly HOA fees, but then you have to pay another $500 a month on top of that for 12 months or 2-year period or whatever it is. So sometimes they'll make it easier on people by doing that. It just depends on the association and the board at the time. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys being here. If you got any value out of this, I appreciate a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber and you want to learn more about real estate and personal finance, I'd appreciate you subscribing today. And thanks a lot for being here.